The night was too quiet, the kind of silence that made even the trees seem afraid to whisper. Crickets had stopped singing. The wind held its breath. And in the middle of the forest clearing, a small hut stood in flames, orange tongues of fire licking at the sky, smoke curling into the dark like a warning to the stars. Inside the burning hut, Aduke staggered, her wrapper soaked in sweat and soot, dripping into her eye, but she didn't stop. She grabbed a stool and threw it aside, coughing as smoke wrapped itself around her like a curse. "Jabari," she cried, voice breaking. "Where are you, my son?" A small boy, no more than 7, stumbled out from behind a wooden bench, tears streaming down his face, his yellowish-orange hair glowing eerily in the firelight. "I'm here, Mama," he shouted. Aduke dropped to her knees and held his face in her hands, her eyes wild and full of fear. "Listen to me," she said, her voice trembling. "You must run. Do you hear me? Run and never look back. No matter what you hear, just keep running." "But Mama," Jabari's voice cracked as he clung to her. "No," she snapped, eyes fierce. "They're coming. They'll kill you. You must go now." Outside, footsteps, angry voices, torchlight flashing through the cracks of the burning walls. "There she is," one man shouted. "Don't let the boy escape." Aduke pushed aside a weak wooden panel behind the hut, revealing a narrow hole in the wall. "Go, Jabari. Run." She shoved him through. He fell into the cold night air, then took off into the woods, barefoot and shaking. Branches slapped against his legs as he ran, heart pounding like a drum in his chest. The ground was wet. Roots reached up to trip him. Owls watched with wide eyes. But he didn't stop. Behind him, the fire roared louder. And then voices again. Heavy footsteps. The crunch of dry leaves. "There." "He ran this way," barked one of the masked men. Jabari gasped and pushed himself harder, lungs burning, fear chasing him like a shadow. But the men were fast. They were close now. He could hear their breath, smell their sweat, feel the heat of their torches. He burst into a muddy clearing, legs shaking beneath him. He had nowhere else to run. He turned around just in time to see 3 masked figures step into the moonlight, faces hidden, blades gleaming. Well, one of them sneered. Golden-haired Wrath thought he could escape. "Let's finish this," another growled. Then everything changed. Through the clearing, like a warning from the earth itself. The men froze. Jabari's breath caught in his throat. Out of the shadows, glowing eyes appeared. Not 2, not 4, too many to count. Then they stepped into the moonlight, lions. A whole pride of them, moving as one. Their manes swayed like fire. Their teeth glinted like blades. The men backed away, eyes wide. What is this?" One lion roared, deep and terrifying. That was all it took. The men turned and fled into the forest, screaming, torches falling behind them. Jabari stood frozen. The lion circled him but didn't touch him. His tiny frame trembled like a leaf. Then the largest lion stepped forward, a great beast with a scar running down the side of its face. Its golden eyes locked onto Jabari's. Not wild, not threatening, just gentle. The boy stumbled backwards, fell to the ground. He covered his head, but nothing happened. He opened one eye. The lion was still there, still watching. Slowly it came closer. Its huge paws are silent on the grass. Jabari stared into its eyes and felt something strange. Not fear, not danger, something warm. He reached out, hand shaking, and touched its mane. The lion didn't move. "I don't understand," Jabari whispered. "Why did you save me?" The lion said nothing, but sat beside him, silent, like a guardian sent from the forest. And for the first time that night, Jabari felt safe. He curled beside the lion, too tired to cry anymore. As sleep crept over him, he whispered into the fur beside him, "Mama, I hope you're okay." The lion lay beside him, watching the trees, watching the dark, watching over him. And far away, the hut crackled as the fire ate what little was left. The forest took back its silence. But nothing would ever be the same again. But who was this boy with golden hair, and the woman who had told him to run and never look back? Who were Jabari and Aduke? And how did they end up in a burning hut, chased through the forest like criminals? Let us go back to a time before the fire, before the fear, when the sun still smiled on the kingdom of Ahutaka. Ahutaka was no ordinary kingdom. Though it rested deep in the heart of Africa, its palaces rose high and gleamed with glass and gold. Royal drums echoed through the hills, and their people walked tall with pride in their hearts. But beneath the beauty, there were rules, old, stubborn rules. That morning, the sun rose with promise. A private jet landed quietly on the edge of the capital. No trumpet, no dancers, just one man stepping down in jeans and a simple shirt. He had been away for years. Prince Jabari. He was 33, fresh from studies in America, and had the calm eyes of a man who had seen the world but carried his roots in his soul. A small crowd of royal guards waited, but he waved them off. "I want to feel the city again," he smiled. No need for noise. Instead, he flagged down a yellow taxi by the roadside. The car stopped. The window rolled down. "You need a ride?" the driver asked. The prince blinked. It was a woman. Young. Calm. Her voice was firm but kind. "You're a taxi driver?" he asked, surprised. The woman raised an eyebrow, amused. "You're a customer or not?" Prince Jabari laughed and got in. "I like you already." As the car rolled into the city, they talked. Her name was Aduke. She had studied accounting but drove taxis to support her younger brothers. Her words were sharp, her thoughts clear, her laughter soft. The prince watched her more than the road. When they reached the palace gates, he said, "I owe you double." She shook her head. "I don't take gifts from strangers." "Then, can I be more than a stranger?" he asked gently. Aduke smiled but said nothing and drove off. The next morning, the palace buzzed with excitement. Maidens from across the kingdom had arrived, dressed in the finest beads and fabrics. It was time. Prince Jabari must choose a bride. The king's advisors whispered names, praised noble bloodlines. The maidens lined up, heads bowed, faces glowing with pride. Among them, Kendi stood tall, daughter of the queen's closest friend, beautiful and proud. She flashed a confident smile. The prince walked past her, barely noticing. When asked to choose, he looked up at the king and queen and said calmly, "I already found someone. I don't know why she is not here, but she is the one I love." Gasps rippled through the hall. The king frowned. The queen's eyes narrowed. "You just arrived," she said. "Who?" But Jabari had already left the hall. He went back to the city, back to the airport, back to find her, Aduke. And he found her. Days passed like dreams. The prince and Aduke, the driver, began to meet in secret at hidden gardens in quiet markets under moonlit trees. He brought her books. She brought him laughter. One night, he stayed at her small apartment, the royal robe forgotten in a dusty corner. They talked until dawn, and something beautiful bloomed. But beauty often attracts danger. Word spread, but no secret stays hidden for long in the kingdom of Ahutaka. Kendi heard. Her mother heard. And soon, so did the queen. Whispers began in the corners of the market, in palace kitchens, in the shaded rooms where noble women gathered. Some spoke with envy, others with disgust. "She drives a taxi," someone scoffed. "She has no title," another added. But one name kept repeating the story louder than the rest, Kendi. When she heard that Prince Jabari had been seen more than once with a city girl, her lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "She's just a phase," she told her mother. But her mother wasn't so sure. "She's a threat," the older woman said. "A prince doesn't play with a girl like that. He means it, and if he means it, we act." One afternoon, the air in the royal garden stood still. Birds fell silent as the queen's voice pierced through the silence. "She's a commoner," she snapped, slamming a golden goblet on the marble table. "A disgrace to the throne." "She is kind," Jabari answered quietly. "And she listens. She thinks. She sees me, not just the crown." "She is not one of us," the queen spat, rising from her seat. Across from them, King Okanlade said nothing. He simply watched his son. The prince did not look away. Not long after the palace grew silent about Jabari's mysterious change of heart, Kendi and her mother began to dig deeper. Too many glances, too many quiet disappearances, too many whispers behind their backs. Then they found her. Aduke, the girl with eyes full of dreams, was still living quietly in a modest corner of the kingdom. She had no guards, no title, and no protection. Yet she held something greater than gold, Prince Jabari's heart. And now she carried his child. The night they came for her was warm and still. Aduke had just folded a small cloth in her hands, smiling softly to herself. She had planned to tell Jabari tomorrow, tell him that he would soon be a father. Her joy was quiet but strong. Then she heard the noise. Thudding feet. A door crashing open. Shadows are moving fast. faces hidden behind masks. She didn't have time to scream. One man swung at her. The heavy end of his torch struck the side of her face. Fire lit the edges of her vision. Blood blurred her sight. One eye went dark. She staggered, breathing hard, tasting iron. She ran, down the narrow path, past the market's sleeping stalls, through the outer gates, into the trees. They chased her, but the jungle swallowed her whole. She didn't stop running until her body gave out. She fell to her knees beside a dried riverbed, her breath broken, her vision swimming. There, beneath the cold stare of the moon, she wept, not for her pain, but for the life growing inside her. A tiny heartbeat she had promised to protect, and so she vanished, not out of fear but out of love. Aduke found shelter in an old, abandoned hut buried deep in the jungle. Its roof sagged, its walls leaned, but it was quiet, safe, hidden. She patched the holes with leaves, lit a small fire with shaky hands. She drank from a stream, slept with a knife under her mat. No one knew where she had gone. Some whispered she was dead, but the truth was simpler. Aduke was gone, but not broken. Time passed slowly. One early morning, as mist wrapped around the trees and birds whispered awake, Aduke felt the first wave of pain. It came strong. Then again. Then again. She cried out, alone in that quiet jungle, gripping her blanket with every breath. Sweat soaked her clothes. Her hands trembled. And then he came. A soft cry pierced the air. A boy, small and perfect, lay in her arms. Aduke gasped when she saw him. His skin was brown like hers, but his hair shimmered like golden fire. Yellow-orange, bright and strange. Like someone born of two worlds. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Jabari," she whispered. "That is your name. It means brave." From that day, Aduke no longer walked alone. Her world was now his. Her hunger, his hunger. Her strength, his shield. The hut became their home. Jabari grew quickly, his laughter echoing through the trees. He helped her fetch water, collected wood, chased frogs by the stream. His eyes were wide with wonder, and his heart was gentle like hers. No one else knew he existed. But deep in the jungle, a mother and her son had found something the palace could never offer: peace and love. Meanwhile, the prince had been in mourning. He refused all proposals, all invitations, and all dances. Since the day Aduke vanished, he had not smiled. Not truly. The servants spoke in hushed tones about the way he walked the palace gardens at night, whispering her name into the wind. Kendi tried. Oh, she tried. She wore the brightest silks, played the kindest daughter of the court, brought him fruit, poems, and even a dove carved in ivory. But Dakarai barely looked her way. "She is gone," the queen told him one evening. "You must choose another." But he only bowed and replied, "Not while my heart still remembers." Kendi's face tightened. She left the room without another word. That night, while pacing her chamber in fury, a soft knock came at her door. Her most trusted guard stepped inside, breathing hard. "My lady," he said, bowing low, "I have news." She turned sharply. "Speak." "It's about the girl. Aduke, she's not dead." Kendi's eyes widened. Her breath caught in her throat. "What did you say?" "She survived. Fled into the jungle. Lives in hiding. And she has a child." The goblet in her hand fell, wine splashing across the marble tiles like blood. "A child." The guard nodded. "A boy. About 7, I believe. Lives with her in a small hut deep in the forest." Kendi stormed out at once, straight to her mother's chamber. The old woman was burning incense, muttering prayers to old gods when Kendi burst in. "She's alive," Kendi hissed. "And she has his child." The older woman's eyes grew cold. "Then if the prince finds her first, all is lost." "What do we do?" Her mother's voice dropped to a whisper. "We finish what we started. This time, there must be no mistake. The boy must not live." And so, under the cover of night, they planned the second attack. Masked men were paid, directions drawn. Instructions were clear: burn the hut. Kill the child. Make sure the woman never returns. Then the burning hut, Aduke's desperate cry, Jabari's escape, the chase, and the lions saving the boy unfold. But what became of Aduke? Will the prince ever find his son and the love of his life? Will justice prevail?